During World War II, every resource counted, and people had to get creative to preserve food and essentials without modern refrigeration. In the chaos of war, cities were bombed, supply lines disrupted, and rationing became a daily reality. Survival often depended on how well you could store perishables and essentials. That's where underground storage became not just a convenience, but a necessity. These weren't luxury setups. They were clever, low-tech systems that anyone could implement. Understanding these techniques gives us a glimpse into human ingenuity under pressure, and it also provides timeless methods for anyone interested in long-term storage, homesteading, or historical survival practices. Before electricity was widespread, people relied on the natural cooling properties of the earth. Basements, cellars and dugouts maintained consistent temperatures year-round, often between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius, perfect for slowing bacterial growth and preserving food longer. Vegetables like potatoes, carrots and cabbage could last for months, while root cellars became a primary source of winter nutrition. In some areas, families even dug deeper underground storage pits lined with straw or sawdust to insulate against frost, effectively creating natural refrigerators. They were careful to select spots with stable soil and minimal exposure to water, since too much moisture would accelerate decay. Practical application. Anyone today can replicate this by choosing a cool, dry corner of a basement or by building a shallow pit insulated with natural materials. Even a small buried wooden box filled with sand or sawdust can extend the shelf life of root vegetables for weeks or months. World War II families didn't just throw food into a pit and hope for the best. They used layered storage techniques, stacking perishables according to type and vulnerability. Root vegetables were often placed at the bottom, wrapped in straw to prevent bruising and retain moisture. On top, fruits that were slightly more sensitive were stored, sometimes in individual compartments or cloth sacks to avoid contact. Fermented foods, like sauerkraut or pickles, were kept in sealed jars buried in sand or earth to maintain a cool, consistent temperature. This layering reduced spoilage and allowed people to rotate supplies systematically, ensuring the oldest items were used first. Now, there's a practical side to all this history. It's actually possible to recreate this method in modern basements or insulated sheds. The trick is to keep heavier, more durable items at the bottom, with your more delicate foods on top, separated by straw, cloth, or even a bit of cardboard, if that's what you've got handy. Not only does this help prevent damage, but it also creates a bit of airflow, which honestly can really help extend the shelf life of your stores. Moisture, that was always a bit of a double-edged sword in underground storage. Too little, and your vegetables would dry out and shrivel up. Too much, and mold would spread like wildfire. During World War II, people got quite clever with their improvisations. Sand, peat moss and sawdust were all used to create little micro-environments around each type of produce. Root vegetables were often buried in damp sand, while fruits might be wrapped in cloth and layered with straw. In areas with high humidity, storage spaces were ventilated with simple channels carved into the walls or small vents covered with fine mesh, just enough to keep pests out, but still maintain a bit of airflow. Now, if you're giving this a go today, you'll want to line your storage containers with dry sand or sawdust and, try not to stack your items too tightly. Make it a habit to regularly check for any moisture buildup or mold and, remove any affected produce straight away. Even something as simple as a small open window or vent for ventilation can make a huge difference in how long your food lasts. People during World War II, they often just reused whatever they had on hand to make storage containers. Wooden crates, metal tins, ceramic crocks and glass jars all played a part in a layered preservation strategy. Jars were sealed up with wax, clay, or sometimes just cloth to keep out contamination, while crates were lined with straw or leaves for insulation and a bit of cushioning. In some cases, folks even dug whole storage areas right into hillsides and lined them with bricks or stones to help keep out the damp. The ingenuity behind these solutions is really quite something. Each method shows a mix of resourcefulness, observation of natural principles, and a careful attention to detail. If you're interested in trying out these historical survival techniques yourself, you can experiment by burying jars of preserved foods or making insulated wooden boxes in a cool, shaded spot. Covering them with straw, leaves or sand gives you natural insulation, just like the strategies used back during the war. Even now, long before refrigeration, these methods made sure families could access food when supply chains broke down. Today, you can use these same techniques for off-grid living, homesteading, or just good old emergency preparedness. Underground storage means you get energy-free preservation, longer shelf life, and a bit of history in your resource management. For anyone keen on history, building a small root cellar or an insulated storage pit is also a hands-on way to connect with the ingenuity of those who got through one of the toughest times in modern history. If there's one thing to take from all this, it's that thoughtful planning, knowing a bit about natural insulation and a bit of hands-on craftsmanship can make a world of difference in food preservation, just as it did during World War II. For those of you watching, if you want to dig deeper into these historically proven survival techniques and see how you can use them in your own life, don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Every one of these lessons is not just a look back at history, but also a practical toolkit for anyone who's serious about preparedness or long-term storage. Keep these strategies in mind, and you'll be ready for both history-inspired experiments and real-world survival situations.